Before Arrow existed, Smallville was the closest thing to a fully realized live-action superhero universe on TV. 19 years later, the Arrowverse is in full bloom thanks to the leading efforts of Oliver Queen. But after 8 seasons, the series finale of Arrow pays tribute to the legacy of Queen by daring not to put him in the spotlight, but instead focusing on how he affected everyone around him. Arrow didn't even need a series finale in the wake of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Ollie already made his grand heroic sacrifice and finally achieved his goal of saving Star City. What else needs to be said? And so, the finale is less an epic climax to the series than it is a quiet epilogue and an opportunity to spend one last hour with old friends. Quite a few old friends, as it turns out. Ollie tweaked Earth Prime so that doppelgangers of nearly all the loved ones who died over the course of the series are now living in the reborn Star City. A clever twist that allows the series to end on an upbeat and hopeful note despite, everyone grieving for the dead main character. It says a lot about Ollie that he went through the trouble of giving all these people, his mother, Tommy, even poor twisted Emiko, a second chance without trying to reclaim his own life. And most importantly, the method behind these resurrections dances around any concern about cheapening their original deaths. Those deaths still happen, just in a universe that no longer exists. Season 8 coasted by without Felicity up to now, but it would have been unthinkable to wrap up without bringing her back to juggle her grief over Ollie, her fear at losing William, and the profoundly strange sensation of meeting an adult version of her infant daughter. And it all culminates in a sequence that finally reveals what became of 2040's Felicity at the end of Season 7. This episode is intentionally vague as to whether Ollie still exists in Spectre form or is truly and completely dead, but all that really matters is he and Felicity finally get their happy ending. If Fadeout does anything right, it's in passing the torch from Ollie to Diggle. David Ramsey shines as a man mourning his brother, struggling to decide what his purpose is in a world that no longer needs Team Arrow. The flashbacks help highlight that brotherly dynamic and show just how far the two have come since 2012. Their move to Metropolis suggests John and/or Lila might be part of the supporting cast on Superman and Lois, and it seems like that John Diggle Green Lantern fan theory has come to pass. The actual conflict in the finale is nothing remarkable. Post-Prometheus, the idea of an old enemy from Season 1 returning to strike at Oliver Queen where he's most vulnerable seems redundant, but there's something highly amusing about the very last villain in Arrow being named after the influential and infamously cantankerous comic creator John Byrne. While emotionally stirring, Fadeout does fall short in a few key ways. It's disappointing that Manu Bennett's Slade Wilson never made a significant return appearance in Season 8. Slade is easily the best villain Arrow ever produced, and only Reverse Flash rivals him as the best Arrowverse villain of them all. The series will always feel irritatingly incomplete in that regard, and the almost complete lack of Slade Wilson in the finale causes the series to end on a needlessly sour note. Arrow's final episode does stumble a bit as it crosses the finish line. There are a few too many loose ends that will probably have to be wrapped up in other Arrowverse series. Fadeout is an imperfect but ultimately effective conclusion to a long-running superhero saga. With Crisis already having handled Oliver's last and greatest sacrifice beautifully, at least the core trinity of Ollie, Felicity, and Diggle are given the send-offs they deserve. So, Arrow succeeds where it matters most. To learn even more about that Green Lantern tease, check out our latest IGN Now and our review of Picard. And be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.